Bucks, I've put it on the agenda. The Blues fans have tuned in. You've gone hard at them on Saturday, not playing finals in season 2025. I think you've described them as grinders and battlers. Explain yourself.
That was a misquote, but anyway.
Oh, okay. Getting into the old We're going to get into that, are we?
We've got enough enemies from Carlton.
Started backing off already. I've left them out of my 8, and with a couple of other teams that have probably got top 4 aspirations, as Carlton would have. So anyone that's doing their top 8, and if you feel like you're not leaving out teams that might embarrass you, well, then I think you're
Did you get a bit nervous after their performance against the Giants?
They were very good. Like what the challenge is going to be is around team defence in a team sense, is how they defend the ground as a team, and they were inconsistent with that. But that was very good on the weekend, but we'll get to the Giants later. Their offensive transition is going to be a real question as well, so maybe they didn't have that much to beat on the weekend. My point was not around their grinders and battlers, because I actually think they've got some players with less talent but with great guts and determination. I think they're actually, they can be consistent and relied upon to play their roles. Actually, I thought the last month of last year was some of their best football with those G&D players. My concern is with the lower end of their talented players. I think that when, at the back end of 23, when the talented players gave themselves to the team, and when they weren't match winning, they were still giving you 6 or 7 out of 10 effort and performance, then you're fine. But if you've got a 9 out of 10 performance for 10 minutes, but then you drop to a 3 during a game, you become a liability to your team. And so I've got to follow through on this. I think Charlie Curnow is one of those players and has been, even though he's been winning Copelands. I think that he can have patches where, sorry, here we go.
Think about yourself.
He hasn't been there. He hasn't been there.
That's a big call.
No, well, yes, it is. But I'm looking at it from a team, absolute sort of team perspective, a coaching perspective. If I'm Michael Voss, I would love it when Charlie's not winning games. I still need him to be a 6 or a 7. I reckon at times he can drop down to a 3. And I think that makes it really hard for the rest of the team to fit in around. I think McGovern is another one. I think Williams is another, potentially due to injury, both of those, a little bit not as robust as you'd like them to be. Fantasia in the same boat. But I think it's there. And Mackay a couple of years ago, and he's fixed this. When he's missing shots, when he's taking marks, but he's missing shots on goal that you need to kick. That's not a 6 out of 10 performance. They're 2s and 3s when you should be finishing them. He's remedied that, and he's there ready to contribute more consistently in his role for the team. So my point is there needs to be less fluctuation, less cursor talent, more reliance on their grinding and their battling, because I think that's where ultimately the best teams actually are really consistent through that effort.
Is their midfield deep enough? We speak about Paddy Cripps and obviously Sammy Walsh when he's fit. They need to go deeper than that, though.
Well, Chera's been in and out and up and down. Kennedy is now no longer there. They were relying on some leg speed with Jagger Smith. Now they're not going to have that. Look, Campriali looked fantastic on the wing, and they found a few. Brody Kemp looks great for it. I've seen him as a best 22, 23 player, but I think he seems expendable for more talented players at times. But I think he plays his role really well whenever he gets the opportunity, forward or back. In the end, they've got plenty of chess pieces to play with, and they're definitely a top 4 capable team. It's just a matter of whether they can find that consistent effort to underpin their quite obvious talent.
Where does the responsibility lie, with Michael Voss or with the playing group to get that 6 out of 10 performance from the grinders and battlers?
Do you understand? Do you see what I'm saying?
I can see what you're saying.
Where do you have Carlton finishing?
I've got Carlton winning it. Yeah,
the Premiership.
Yeah, we'll get into our Premiership.
Why?
I think there's a few things here. There's nostalgia, and I think there's also an element of history with this. I look at my own sort of journey and go, where Carlton sit at the moment is where I reckon Richmond were at 2016. Not yet understanding their identity, but with the talent that if it clicks, and being a big club here in Victoria where they'll play a majority games at the MCGs, if they get on a run, they're going to be very hard to beat. And we've seen that in 2023, and I agree with you with those so-called players that need to make sure that when they don't have good games, they're not having extremely bad games, 3 out of 10. So 6 out of 10.
Or even moments. So what was the difference between 16 and 17? For the difference between the Richmond,
You're
being,
right.
being a chance,
You're right.
and then turning into what was the one difference between 16 and 17? Do you reckon?
I think any team that wins the premiership, it's your bottom 5. If your bottom 5 to bottom 10 can raise their performance, now that relies on the stars to be consistently performing and make the grinders and battlers better players.
They haven't been though.
So, I'm actually expecting them to turn up this year. I reckon they're starting to find their identity. I reckon they've seen last year they had 8 of their 10 best out. They got beat by Brisbane comfortably. They've looked at each other, looked inside, and I actually think that they might bounce back. And I like the nostalgia. I like seeing the big clubs win it, and I've gone out on a limb to tip them as well.
They can go anywhere from premiers to 12th or 13th, and it's not just a reflection on Carlton Footy Club. It's a reflection of the competition. That's how even it is at the moment, and getting off to a good start is important.
I hope you're not working too many Carlton games during the year, mate. Might be car wrecked, I reckon.
I've got 3 of the first 4, I think. Thursday night.
That's why you said it.